Hey there, welcome to the Bible in 5. You're going to be working your way through the book of Proverbs in the next week and a half or so here. The book of Proverbs is pretty well known to many of us, and so is just the form of Proverbs in general, right? We think of the book of Proverbs as like little 1 or 2 line sayings, kind of catchy, witty sayings that talk about life and so on. And those are definitely very common in the book of Proverbs in chapters 10 on through the end of the book. But there's actually a lot going on in the book of Proverbs that even if you've been reading it for a while, you may not be familiar with. The book begins with a little note right in the first sentences, linking it to King Solomon, who was one of the most well-known kings of Israel. He was known as the wisest of the kings of Israel, and even among the kings of his time in the ancient Near East. And so he's kind of like the fountainhead. All of Israel's wisdom literature that's exploring what it means to live in God's world and to do it well. All of that is connected to Solomon, and that's what's happening at the beginning of the book. The first 9 chapters are not Proverbs at all. They're speeches from a father to a son about how to live, how to honor God, how to live successfully, i.e. wisely, and to live an ethical, virtuous life, and so on. That's what these speeches are. And what they clue us into is how wisdom literature, the book of Proverbs especially, is different than a lot of the other literature of the Bible. So it's not narrative, which tells the story of what God is doing to rescue the world, and it's not prophecy. So the prophets speak on behalf of God, thus says the Lord, and so on. But wisdom literature is not like that. Wisdom literature is a human voice. It's a father speaking to the next generation. So wisdom literature is about sort of like the accumulated heritage of wisdom and insight that God's people have from the past, and they're passing it on to the next generations. How to live in a way that honors God, honors other people, and so on. That's the heritage of wisdom literature, and that's what these speeches are about. Except for one of them. In chapter 8, it's very unique. In chapter 8, it's as if wisdom takes on a life of its own, and wisdom becomes this personified figure of Lady Wisdom. And it's as if wisdom is this personal being in the universe who calls out and says, are you going to be foolish and neglect my words, or are you going to listen to me and heed my words, heed the words of wisdom? And the idea here, she talks about how she's like woven into the fabric of the universe. She said, wherever people are making wise decisions, they do so by me. Wherever kings or rulers or governing authorities are being wise and just and righteous, they're doing so by me. And what's happening here, it's this idea, it's very much a biblical idea, that God has made the universe to operate, it's a moral universe. It's an ethical universe. And so to live wisely is like living along with the grain of the universe, along with the grain of wisdom. And to live foolishly or immorally or selfishly is going against the grain of the universe. That's the basic idea of wisdom here in Proverbs chapter 8 and in all of these speeches. And so basically what all of these chapters that follow are, is they're just working out that basic view of the world. All of the Proverbs, they're just exploring life, they're exploring relationships, family, they're exploring what it means to live in community with others, how do you deal with anger and conflict, how to deal with money, how to deal with sex. I mean, it just covers all spectrum of life, but it does so under the worldview put down here. Namely, you fear God, you honor Him, you commit all your efforts to Him, you do your best, you make your wisest, best decisions, and you are likely to do better in life than if you don't do those things. And that leads to the last major thing. As you're reading through the Proverbs, they're almost, it's sort of like cherry picking as you're reading through. You know, you're going to read through a chapter of them. Some of them are going to resonate with you, others won't. This is a book to be read and reread and reread throughout your whole lifetime, really. It's a lifetime of wisdom here. But the key thing to walk away from this book is not that this is a book of promises. If I do X, Y, Z, if I honor God, commit my ways to Him, then I will have success. That is treating the book of Proverbs like a book of promises, which it's not. Right? So Proverbs are observations by generations of godly people about how life usually works out. If you honor God, if you're wise with your money, if you respect people, if you deal with issues like anger or selfishness, life will likely go better for you. But if you don't, then life is not likely to go good for you. It's not a formula for success. It's wisdom. It's insight for living. So Proverbs is a very practical book. It connects with every facet of life that we experience on a day-to-day basis. And it's just waiting to challenge us and speak to us as we absorb its wisdom. So I hope the book of Proverbs is a good challenge for you, and I hope you enjoy reading it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.